anytime you deviate from what the original plan is, especially at that age, something crazy is normally going to happen. Lucky Lefty Podcast. What's good, LL Nation? That dude right there. Always, always deep intel, getting information, working the business line, probably cracking another deal,
already.
another liquor deal. I mean, it's interesting. So, I'm a huge fan of The Wire. And I
Really?
did not realize, you don't realize how impactful certain shows, TV shows are on the culture, right? So we understand like, Omar and certain characters and what they meant to the culture. Well, I was talking to my boy who's actually out there in LA. He's from Chicago, but he's in LA. And we were talking about this scene between McNulty and Bunk. And they they both were drunk. And we were laughing like, yo, some of the funniest moments are when both of these dudes are drunk at the bar.
Yeah.
So we were talking about the scene, and he was like, low key, they introduced me to Jameson's. And I was like, word? He's like, yeah, I had never heard of Jameson's, dude, until I watched this show. And of course, Jameson is like really big on the East Coast, like Baltimore, New York. Like that's pretty much one of their primary shots. Not so much tequila, which is what you might see in the Midwest or out on the West Coast or even down south. So it's just like, man, you start thinking about shows and how they introduce certain things to the culture, and all of a sudden, we know it happens all the time in hip hop with rhymes, and somebody will mention a clothing line or something like that, and then everybody
Mhm.
starts rocking it, right? Like soon as Biggie said
It's
"Black and
like the
Ugly as
gallery
Ever,"
department. When did the
right?
gallery department become super hot? Now everybody wearing it and stuff. Like,
Facts. It's just strange how the culture is impacted by the arts. It really is. So
yeah.
that's a crazy moment, crazy night for your boy. I was just telling Malik about it, and just as being a parent, bro. I hope you won't have any of those moments when a little man gets older.
So do you think it's different for a guy than your daughter? Because I
Oh,
don't like, would you feel like tracking your son going through Champagne or whatever would be the same? Like if your son was out back in LA at USC, he's like, damn, I'm about to go to this mansion thing in Malibu. Would you be
yeah,
like,
yeah,
yeah, I gotta track you? Or
yeah.
not, you
See,
wouldn't tell him I gotta track you, but
that's interesting that you asked that question. I think it flip flops, right?
yeah,
Right.
like a
It flip
situational
flops
maybe.
because I guarantee you, the missus when little man gets older, the missus, you're gonna have to pull the reins on her a little bit. Like, yo, relax. He's okay. Like, but just so LL Nation knows, like my wife and I, our daughter is almost like what 2,300 miles away at school.
The farthest you can be.
Yeah. And yeah, she shares her location with us via her phone. And I was telling Malik, like, we really don't even because we talk to her constantly during the week. So we really don't use it during the week. But when the weekend comes and she becomes more active and she's further away from campus, like, I told you, she loves to go to Malibu to quote unquote study on the weekends. Like,
Studying up.
I'm going to the beach in Malibu to
And it,
study.
ain't even no schools in Malibu, man.
And she swears, she stands on that. Like, I am studying. I'm like, as long as your GPA is straight, I'll believe
Yeah,
it.
if your
I'm fine.
GPA straight, you must be telling the truth.
Right. So the joking. So we're talking about that. And then she went on a recent trip with her friends. They drove down to Atlanta for a Greek fest. And I was just sharing with him that, shared the contact and everything, and shared the trip and her location and how comforting it was, because Atlanta is one of the highest trafficking cities for young ladies in the country. So,
Easily.
yeah, I was on high alert. I had family members on high alert down there. I had college classmates on high alert. Anybody I knew, my former barber who moved down there, he was on high alert with his goons. I'm like, yo, like, I need you already and mobile at any moment if something goes down. So, you asked me, like, if I had a son, because the way things are now, honestly, bro, for a different reason, though, I would be very aware of where he was, especially when it came to extracurricular activities.
But would it be a friend based thing because of your son, right? Because it's like, it's usually not your son, it's the crowd. Because he just, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, it could be, but I think there's a difference.
Yeah,
I think it's like a seesaw. Fathers are extra; they get real extra when it comes to their daughters, and mothers become very
yeah,
extra when it comes to their sons.
yeah. And it's crazy because you're like, my
Absolutely.
son, he all right.
So we're gonna break down why Notre Dame can dominate in the run game this year in the running back room. And the question of the day is give me your top. We're going to give you the top 5 running backs in the history of Notre Dame. Top 5 running backs in the history of Notre Dame. Why? Because the number 1 running back in the nation is on campus. Notre Dame has him all to themselves. Now, the offensive staff, I don't know how they did this. They had camp Sunday night. The entire offensive staff was in Wrigley Field last night, checking out the Cubs and the San Diego Padres game. And then they drove back to South Bend to be able to host Richard Young. So,
Commitment.
yeah. And Richard Young
Commitment.
is fresh off his trip from Alabama.
And you see, that's what's crazy is because a kid like that, if we were talking about yesterday's show and the coach, how
Yeah.
can that kid know? How can he know where he want to go?
Yeah.
Every school in the country. You go from Alabama to Notre Dame the next week, coming
Yeah.
from Georgia, then Ohio State.
Yeah.
You're not gonna know, man. But
So,
speaking on today, I love the fact that no matter where we are, we're gonna do recruiting.
facts.
Whether
Facts.
it's interviewing in the media, we take it too long, we're gonna do that recruiting. We're gonna make them
Yeah.
calls.
We got to.
That's
And like
effort.
you said, they took a break yesterday and tried to get everything back in order and recuperate, and say, okay, as a staff, they went to the game with their wives and significant others, and of course, if you
Did
go to
Marcus
a
really
club,
throw the first pitch?
I don't think so, because Marcus spent the day on campus preparing, and then he welcomed the baseball team back. So I don't
Shout
think
out
he's on
baseball
campus.
team.
But
Shout
guess
out.
who was the first person to make an impact on Richard Young? Now this is crazy. Get the first person to make an impact on Richard Young.
If it's crazy, it's probably like he stand or something.
Nah.
Okay. If it's crazy, it's probably like, was it a player?
Nope.
It was a coach. Okay. Was it the strength coach?
Nope.
I don't know. Who made an
This is
impact?
based off Richard Young's Instagram.
Oh, okay. I didn't see it.
That dude posted that fade that Julio Cuts gave him, dude. Soon as he got to the bend, he posted on his own Instagram like, yo, they came to my hotel room and
Oh,
hooked
yeah.
me
Top
up.
flight service. Yeah, we
Man.
coming top flight. Top flight service.
So,
We treat you
yo, I
like the
keep telling
rappers in them.
people how important Julio Cuts is to the program right now.
And
He's an
Julio probably
asset.
didn't even tell him to do it.
He's an asset. He's dead.
It's the indirect asset we always needed.
He just,
I ain't get no haircut on my visit.
I think he's
You know what I
watching.
mean?
He just hit me up and said, yes, sir. Had to get him right. Yeah, dude. That's what we do. That's what we do. Notre Dame, it's all hands on deck right now, bro. It's a
Oh, hey.
collaborative effort.
Shoot, you might walk around, get a free Blaze pizza or something.
Hey, bro, he hooked me
Never
up
know.
for the blue and gold game. I was very happy.
That's right.
Very
That's
happy. So, look, man, are you ready to get into why this dude is so important?
right. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it, man. We're talking about Richard Young, number one running back in the entire nation. And this is why he's so important. Malik, go ahead and break down what you see.
What I love so much is that he's got a suddenness and he runs with aggression. He's not tiptoeing through no hole. He's the type of guy that's going to grab the football and you feel good that he's trying to score every time.
Yeah.
Not every kid in the country has that ability. And you see it because he's getting the football and he's 100% full speed. But he's making the cuts at 100% too. So
Yeah.
you can tell that the no hesitation and explosion that he has with his size is something where he feels like he can't be tackled. Running through arm tackles, not going down. I mean, the kid's a man amongst boys. One of those
Balance is
films where
crazy.
it's like you got to check his birth certificate because you don't believe that he's in high school. Like
No.
you think that this is some club intramural football team that he's doing all of this to, but these are guys that go to class with him every day. So he's clearly athletically above the standard.
The speed
But what?
right here, bro.
Yeah,
Hurdle. I think my favorite play is coming up, I think, in like two plays that shows like his full ability. It's look at this. Back outside.
and he's finishing runs, finishing runs.
Now, this right here, bro, might be the best of the bunch. Quickness, bam, back outside, footwork, speed, turned it on.
And look how he got great knee drive. That's underrated for a running back to have knee drive through tackles and through the hole and not slow that down.
Mm,
Man, I mean, it's.
mm.
But the thing about film like this and where he obviously is going to be challenged in college, you don't see nowhere on this where he's blocking.
No, bro. He is absolutely amazing to watch on film. And we just gave you 2 minutes of like 9 minutes of nothing but
Touchdown.
ridiculous, ridiculous run after ridiculous run. And I understand that a lot of people down south, specifically in the Texas area, that feel like Reuben Owens is a better, more explosive running back. But this young man, everybody wants from Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State. Notre Dame comes into the fray. Uh, Dylan McCullough wasn't going to get him to Indiana, but had a relationship and had contact, and that's why Notre Dame was able to get in the door. Has Notre Dame, even in your time there, was there anybody that had a talent that you just looked at and was like, yo, this dude is different?
Felt that way about a couple guys. Definitely felt that way about Corey Robinson, probably my most underrated feeling about because, you know, you talking to Corey, you wouldn't think he played football. So it's almost like when he did play football, he just like turned the switch on and did things other guys couldn't do. So I always thought that was pretty amazing because it wasn't like he was such a non-football ego person where he'd be like, "Yeah, take my reps, dude, no problem." Like stuff that kids would never say. And then he'll after about you done took all the man reps. Coach like Corey, get in there, man. Like we need you to da 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 da. He'll go in there and make the most amazing play all practice. And that's how it was in the game. We'd be in the game. He'd be like, all right, Chris Brown, you my elders, so you go ahead, run it. We get down to the 20, it's 3rd and 6, game on the line. Corey, we need you. He'd come off, put his helmet on, and catch a one-hand touchdown in the end zone. We didn't need him all game. We need him for one play, and he makes the game-winning touchdown. So Corey Robinson had that type of gift. Obviously, Jalen Smith. Oh, you on mute? I think.
He caught the game winning cut touchdown against Florida State too. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, yeah, and he didn't play the whole game for real. That's what I'm saying. Like Corey is like special on that level, like a big time player that was big time when you needed him. Like he may disappear during the whole game, probably because he's letting guys take his reps. But when it came time and you called on him, he made the play. Obviously, Jalen Smith, never seen a guy at that time just a like really the predator. Like the man could do it all. So that was obviously special. Will Fuller was special because at first I just thought he was fast, but then and then he started doing guys in practice like that, and I'm like, okay, he just got some speed. But then it's like nobody could really match him for real. Even when we went to play games, I'm like, okay, now he's different. Because okay, we've seen fast guys. We played against a bunch of fast guys, but just something about Will.
Bro,
Every time he was pressed, you had a chance.
when that cat of Dory Jackson tried to give that dude space and thought he could keep up with him on the post route,
First play,
I'm like, fam, nah, bro.
he's special. Special. Quentin Nelson, obviously special.
And I saw that in Rico's friend. Just to go back to what we talked about yesterday, if you watch Rico Flores and his film, yo, he gets up on you faster than you think. It's like you look up, it's like, yo, he might have that type of speed, man.
But the only thing about Rico, I'm gonna say, is that he plays everything. So if he get in that room with Chancey Stuckey and they talking technique on routes and stuff, is it going to show? Is the talent going to come through? Or is it going to be something he's got to like, I really got to learn this curl at 14? Because usually he'll be like, I'm just so athletic. I'm just better than the guy.
Yeah.
So I'm just figuring it out, like raw athleticism,
So let's go through. And I have an interesting question based upon some inspiration of something I watched this morning. We briefly talked about it. Let's go through this running back room and why Notre Dame can be so dominant. The versatility in the running back room, especially if that screen game can really come into play. And Tommy can really know how to use and how to call plays in certain situations. Darian Price, to me, can be like that prototypical third down back from like 15 years ago in the NFL. You know, the guy that used to come in, catch routes out the backfield, run the screens, run the draws. Like that's somebody that he can really be to be effective on third downs and cause defensive problems as he becomes more acclimated to the full package. But you have a guy that you really love that you think can be the bruiser and lead the way in this power running game, number 24, Aldrich Estime.
That's right. I think Aldrich Estime has the build. I think he has the personality. He has a Nick Chubb type of personality.
Facts.
And I just think that's just a great combination for what the room is, because a guy like Nick Chubb can coexist with a guy like Sony Michel and still be productive. I don't think Aldrich is the most vocal guy in the room where he's like, I need the ball, I need the ball. I think he's one of those kids where I'm working really hard in the weight room. I'm doing everything you ask me. So throw me in there. I'm going to be something of what you want. So I think that's a good fit, not only for the football field, but for the running back room.
Yeah.
To kind of some of what the glue would be. I don't think he has all the total traits of a running back, like an NFL running back right now in terms of catching out the backfield. But that's what's really good about the room, is that there's strengths about other running backs in there where I think with Aldrich's personality, it can mold well for a Nick Chubb, Sony Michel, Todd Gurley type of room. Now, I don't know if we got a Todd Gurley in there.
I was about to say that's
well, if we get Richard Young, there we go. That's our Todd Gurley. You know what I mean? But
You start mentioning the name Todd Gurley, it's like, all right.
yeah, but that's the type of elite that we want in a room like that, because I do think they're productive on a level where they could be drafted. You know, maybe not Todd Gurley, Sony Michelle, Nick Chubb, but maybe the running back room they had last year with Zadarius White and Holyfield and those guys. So I do think having a strong, consistent, stable 3-4 deep is the best way to go. A lot of great running teams have a 3 or 4 deep. Look at Stanford through those great years, three or
Yeah,
four deep
yeah.
at all times, and they produce guys like Barry Love and Christian McCaffrey, and so that's what a deep room looks like. And then I think we'll be committed to the run. He stands not coming in there for no reason, so I do think that he's going to give the confidence to Tommy to be like, we can put our head down and just grind this one out.
So in this system, which it's probably going to be heavy RPOs, I don't see Tyler being put in position to run a lot of I formation or maybe a little bit of a single back every now and then under center, but it's safe to say that Tyler Buckner is going to be shotgun probably what 80% of the time, and that might be
It just depends on how the season go. I think he'll be shotgun 60% of the time in Ohio State, just because I think that's the safer way to play,
mhm.
to put him in a position where under center, you can do a rollout, some stretch plays, some quick stuff that you can get guaranteed 5-6 yards to get the drive going. Because the shotgun stuff, the problem I have with doing it 100% of the time, like a Washington State, is that through the game you'll get lazy. Because I'm sure there was, I mean, I don't know, I'm sure, but watch the Fiesta Bowl. Through the game, Jack was good, but there were throws you like, come on, Jack, come
Yeah,
on, man.
just from a
But that's
concentration focus point. Yeah,
but when you're on pitch 47, not too many guys can throw the ball 60 times and be productive the whole game.
yeah.
So that's what shotgun is not good for, especially if you're not committed to the run. So I think under center would help Tyler develop, because it's a different viewpoint under center than in shotgun. Your
Facts.
ass better look side to side like you're crossing the street when you under center.
Mhm. That's facts. And
In
then
the
under
shotgun
center,
is all you.
how tough is it to snap your head around on play action?
It's funny because that's more of a you better turn around fast. So sometimes it depends on the play. If you have a naked boot with
Right.
nobody blocking for you, you determine how fast you should be fast anyway. But it depends on the angle in which you come out when you look at the edge. If the guy is nobody, if he's the overhang and nobody's in front of him, it's a dirty edge. So you
Yeah.
got to come out of it a lot higher. That means you got to look. You can't guess.
Right.
He's covered and somebody's over top of him, you can come out at a thinner angle. So these are things that you have to consider in terms of how fast you turn your head around. Well, depends on the play. And more times than not, you try to do it as fast as possible so you can get a view of things. The scariest thing is having your back to the defense for longer than zero point 0.7 seconds, because everything is different.
Lucky Lefty podcast featuring and brought to you by Onora Whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. It's that premium American whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. The perfect way, the perfect nightcap for a dub. Let's see.
I ain't gonna lie. I think we should put in some wishbone.
You going back to Jamel Holloway and
Listen, situationally,
Wishbone?
situationally, give you a scenario.
Okay.
Ohio State, we up 3, 5 minutes left, kicking their butt like Michigan in the run game. We can't let them get back on the field. But we got Audric Estimate, Logan Diggs, Darian Price, Chris Tyree, and Tyler Buckner. I'm putting in the package because one of them gonna get me 5. If it's not Audric, then it's gonna be Chris Tyree on the little pitch. If it ain't him and they take the pitch, Tyler Buckner gonna run his ass off. So somebody getting me 5. And if we can do that for 4 or 5 players, get 3 or 4 first downs, we win the game. We win the game.
So you calling for the wishbone?
And then if we really slick, we do the wishbone play action enough. Michael Mayer right down the
You
seam.
hit your tight end, the tight end pop. Look at you going back, trying to call up Lou Holt's playbook from back in the day.
But it'll work because we think about the athletes we got now. Then that quarterback wasn't no Tyler Buckner. Lou Holtz had a Tyler Buckner, they would have won championship.
I mean, Tony Rice was.
Oh,
was
I mean,
pretty
obviously,
good.
yeah.
Tony Rice is pretty good. Kevin
He's had
McDougal
more
is
than
pretty
Tony,
good. I mean, they had some pretty good quarterbacks to run the option. Now, them trying to run the option with Rick Meyer and stuff, that wasn't as good. But I definitely get your point, and that's interesting to think about. Now I'm going to go to Dylan McCullough and his thoughts on how Tommy Rees might divvy up time and deal with the plethora of talent he has in the running back room.
At the end of the day, we want all the coaches to be experts at what they do. And one thing is very clear to me is that Tommy Rees knows quarterback play at a very high level and knows a system that he wants to see here and how it can thrive. The thing that I've been, impressed with as well is just how he continues. He's continuing to grow in his position. He's open to ideas. I send him some things like, hey, check this out or check that out. And shoot, he said, hey, let's do it. Let's put it out there. So, as any coach, you want to continue to grow. You never got all the answers. I know I don't. I've learned a whole lot of things there too. But Coach Rees, man, that guy's that's a good dude. I like him.
Where are they hiding this Under Armour gear, dog? Because it's not for sale. And it's irritating.
Under Armour sees what's happening and they're creating new stuff. They said, look, you're going to be on TV.
Right.
Drop the shirt.
They might. Even if they did a pop-up shop on game day.
Go crazy.
Just like
because the colors look even better. That's not no regular green. That's a money green.
One of the stars of the blue one of the stars of the blue and gold game. Freshman running back Darian Price, and this is what your running back coach had to say about the young freshman.
I'm very high on him. I mean, I remember when talking with JD maybe a little bit before spring break, really challenged him as far as continuing to gain weight. Continuing just to embrace the smaller details of playing football. I always remind him probably every couple of times you go out there, I say, hey, this is major college football, man. Just reminding him, you ain't high school no more. This is for real. And he came back after spring break. He had gained weight. I've been really impressed with his strength, his burst, his just demeanor. He's tougher than what his body may look like. He's up to close to 195 pounds. So after the first football school that we did, I told all the coaches, I said, oh, this he's legit. So again, to go along with the other guys we have has been something that I've been pretty excited about.
And you saw some of that promise in the blue and gold game on a long screen, and just the way he runs hard inside the tackles and the speed he has.
But that's the versatility. You got a screen like Chris Tyree is great at that same thing, but Jadarian's bigger.
Yeah.
So it's not that we just got options, man. And I think that a lot of people, which is something to mention, is that every coach that talks about Tommy always says he knows what he's doing. Stan told me that. You hear from Dina McCullum, you hear from Marcus Freeman. The one thing they do acknowledge about Tommy Rees is that they do not question what his strategies are in getting the team ready, which is a confidence that hasn't been around the team on offense for a long time. Because what's the biggest problem we've always had? Why are we not scoring 40 points a game?
Right. In a day and age where that's
what it takes to even win a game,
right.
Nowadays.
Right.
So I think that has been answered or at least approached. I think he's done a great job so far, like we put up 40 points against Oklahoma State, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So we're hitting the number now. Now it's about how
you should have had 10 more points minimum against Oklahoma State.
Minimal. So it wasn't possible like that, playing safe, playing with a 10-point lead and running the ball in the third quarter all game. That's what we used to do.
Yeah.
So now we closing the door on people, hopefully, but in these games where it matters, where we're trying to win something seriously, 40 points is the standard.
Yeah.
We're not winning no game 10-7 against no Alabama. That's not no 10-7 game. You're
No.
gonna have to score 40 to beat Bryce because he's gonna score 40 regardless.
Right. Lucky Lefty podcast. Logan Diggs is somewhat of an enigma.
Yeah.
Injuries, reports of being homesick as a freshman, coming in when Chris Tyree was injured, and really showing himself well in the Virginia Tech game, in the Virginia game. And you see the talent, big back, good feet in the hole, maybe not the long breakaway speed, but a solid running back. Solid running back. What's your thoughts on him? Where does he fit? And I shared the story about the blue and gold game. He was upset about his usage on one drive that led to a field goal or a missed field goal, shall I say. And he just felt like, on a couple of plays out of the backfield, he should have gotten the ball, been able to make a play. He wants to be great. Like, he recently tweeted out this week that he's going to come back and have one of the best seasons and play some of the best football he's ever played. But, you always tell me, like, look, man, it gets to a point, all that talking, man, you got to go out there and do it.
Man, I think it's just ringing the alarm, as a former football player and just an observer and love of the game. If you upset in spring football about not getting carries, it's probably time that it's something going on that you're not happy with in general. Because that's like getting upset. That's like LeBron getting upset that he ain't playing in the summer league. It's like LeBron.
Or the playoffs, my fault.
It's like LeBron. Well, how you gonna say you ain't getting summer league minutes? This don't mean nothing. But
right. Yeah, facts.
So if that's the case with him, it don't mean nothing, and you highly upset. It means a couple things. You're not happy being there. You feeling like Dina McCullum ain't your guy. As much as everybody loves what's going on, that's not your guy. So you feeling that? Kids from certain areas like Florida and Louisiana, they can get homesick. It's just a different type of thing that they come from. So that could be that. Or that reps are going to get real thin coming up. And you trying to talk yourself into the confidence of, I'm going to be ready. But in the back of your mind, you look in that room, you like, man, they got to give Darian the ball. They got to give Aldrich the ball. Mm-hmm. I know I got to get the rock. But Tyler ain't no Jack Cohn either. So Tyler going to run sometimes in pass plays because that's how he plays.
Yeah.
So finding a spot on where you're going to play when the room is only getting better and deeper and thicker, and then you're getting hurt. So as a football player, your time schedule on stuff like that. You get nicked up over nothing, and you mad you ain't getting the ball more. So now coach gonna look at you like you get mad over nothing. Every time I turn around, you got a sling on. These younger guys is popping around, looking great, and they my guys. It just is writing on the wall. Unfortunately, sometimes in college football, you miss your window. The biggest thing about Coach Kelly is that you really had a window. If your ass ain't playing in that red shirt sophomore year, kind of junior year, and he don't like you where you're going to be a 8-year senior like Shaun Crawford or Joe Schmidt or something,
yeah,
it's better that you graduate and transfer. Because Coach Kelly like, man, I got these young boys I done told and sold the river to.
Right.
Now, I'm not going to tell you that you miss your window, but when you ain't getting no practice reps and you was just practicing yesterday,
yeah,
what you want to do?
What you want to do? Lucky podcast.
So Logan Diggs, what you want to do? Because it's not that they don't want you there, but the writing on the wall. It's just you're not going to get the carries you want regardless. Like, that's just where we are as a team. And Tommy being good at his job wouldn't do that anyway.
Yeah.
Why would I
Yeah.
give you the ball 50 times all these people we got on the team? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting.
Chris Tyree, man, he's going to eventually probably be running back one. His impact is going to be felt also on special teams. What's the next step for Chris Tyree? Like, we've seen him be special.
Unfortunately, it's nothing because he's the size he is.
Yeah. Okay.
He's not Saquon Barkley where he's got
Tree
super quick
trunks for
thighs
legs. Yeah.
where it's okay you're short, but we can roll you out there because you're getting a first down eventually. Like, he's a very special player that has to be in the right fit, which I think he is with Tommy. Love the way that Tommy used him early on in the Clemson game in the playoffs. Love the way Tommy used him in the Fiesta Bowl early on. He's a guy that's versatile enough in that running back room, similar to Jadarian, but Jadarian can get in the backfield 3 times out of the down.
Yeah.
So, but he's also versatile to where he's a screen guy, a sweep guy, a special teams guy, a punt return. So he has value in a lot of other ways that the running backs aren't. But on a value of running back specifically, I wouldn't roll him out as the number one only because Ohio State is eating that up. I love Chris Tyree. I just think it would be, it's the same as us putting Amir in I formation against Purdue and running inside power runs. We did that. We did that. Backed up on our own 5. This is when Purdue had 6'5", 300 D tackles. The year DeVars had a great game.
Oh, when he had that 83-yard touchdown.
We were backed up on our own 5, took George Atkinson out of the game, put Amir Carlisle in the game, had I formation, and ran a power run play with Amir Carlisle. That traumatized me forever. So I'm like, rolling Chris Tyree out there and running inside the tackles when you got guys that big as hell, like Audric Estime, doesn't make sense.
Well, if you watch the Fiesta Bowl, Chris was really successful on the RPO. Well, the shotgun pitch plays to the outside,
Exactly.
sweeps to the outside. That's his thing, and then the screen game. So
Because
if
he's
you're
not even as
using
big
him,
as
if you're
Tarian.
using him that way, then I rock with that.
Because he's not even as big as Tarian. And him and Tarian were kind of similar. I think he was a more athletic version of Tarian, but not as big.
But Tarian had like a Marcus Allen way of being able to run on the inside.
Yes,
Like he
like
could,
a LaShawn McCoy.
yes.
It wasn't a power runner,
No,
but he was big enough to run in between the tackles and stay healthy.
and stay healthy.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
and then go down.
Like even
5
his injury
yards.
was a freak injury. He was in the open.
He was in the open. That's why it's like I love Tarian to death. I wish it never happened to him because he's that guy. But
He's an NFL
Chris
running back.
Tyree, oh for sure.
Yeah.
He's like a Frank Gore with more speed, But
And people underrated the way he ran in that bowl game against LSU. Very underrated.
Because that was a good defense. They had
Yeah.
Arden Key, they had Jalen Mills, they were nice. Quan Alexander, like, come on. So that's not Chris Tyree. Chris Tyree is speed. That's why he plays special teams.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Tyree didn't play special teams. That's not the type of runner he is. Chris Tyree is, there's a window, I'm out of there. And I got to make a dude miss right here. Or in the open field, I got it. But if it's because the thing about Ohio State, they're just going to grab his jersey and he only weigh about 125.
He weighs more than 125.
I mean, compared to Audric not going down by no shirt tackle.
No. But I think
he's so bigger than Styles damn near bigger than a lot of the players out there. Styles is huge.
It's going to be interesting. Talk about what you see from Darian Price and the right way to implement him and bring him along. Like perfect. Just the perfect way to bring him along.
I think the perfect way to bring him along is to give him things that are not as impactful on a game. Like if we running Darian Price, let it be between the 50 and the 30. You know, give him a first down run.
Right.
Give him, if you put him in third down, let him run a screen. Don't put him in a blocking position. Just give him a screen. And then you slowly develop, okay, we play at Virginia Tech. We can outflank these guys. Chris Tyree down. Aldrich really can't. It's your time to shine. So in dominant games where we whooping teams like we should be, he got to run the third quarter. Let him and the younger guy run it, right?
Right.
Because I'm trying to keep recruits too. I'm trying to do everything not to lose him. That's really what it is.
Yeah.
But I know he's a good kid, and I need him on the team. So he just can't go 2 or 3 games not playing because of the circumstance. Because he can fit that circumstance with the right calls, you know. So it would be a shame if we don't use him in some way, but it'd also be a bigger shame if we use him halfway and we ruin his red shirt potentially. You know, if we gonna use him, use him. You know what I mean?
What do you think about this? Is off topic, bro, but I just saw something. What you feel about Fivio Foreign, man? You like his music?
He went too pop too fast for me.
Mm.
I was just starting to like his kind of vibe. And then he did the City of Guys thing with the girls singing, and it just is like it feels forced. Because I don't feel like you're the king of New York that fast. Like, you know, 6ix9ine at least did a lot of stuff to try. I mean, I barely see you, and then you pop it up on the chart. So I don't know. I think he the safest rapper to go with right now in New York. But damn near the less safer rappers usually be the best ones out of New York. So
Lucky love you, far.
you know what I mean? It's like, dang, the ones you really got to be like, you dangerous for real, but your music is the best.
Oh,
Fivio
man.
Foreign is like, you're good and all, but like, you're no different than a Meek Mill to me right now. And I love Meek Mill, but if Meek Mill drops some stuff right now, you like, listen, but and you're a legend. You know,
Yeah.
But it's like Meek right now, no.
Jabron Payne. He's coming in as well. He, like the rest of the freshmen and pretty much the rest of the players, reported on Sunday this weekend. They got into town. Start, hitting that Matt Bayless early morning workout.
Oh, I get a charger 1 second.
Hitting that Matt Bayless early morning workout. And we'll see how things go. But once again, I think the way to go about the running back room is that there's going to be a lot of opportunity because I do see the running game playing a key role, especially early on in the first 4 games. Whether you're facing a team that you feel like you should dominate, like Cal, or you're facing high-powered offenses that like to go out and run a lot of plays, and you want to keep them off the field, like Ohio State, like North Carolina, even though they lost the quarterback, they still have a lot of talent, young talent, that came on late in the season last year, especially if you watch that North Carolina State game. It was a battle that they eventually lost in North Carolina State, but it was their young talent, their freshmen, their redshirt freshmen that had developed throughout the season that really came through and gave that team a chance to pull off the upset against North Carolina State. So one of the things that we have to look at moving forward is the opportunity that's going to be there and how Tommy Rees and the rest of this offensive staff can come up with a game plan to get everyone touches. Now, everyone is not going to be happy, which goes to what Malik was talking about with the mindset that exists with Logan Diggs. Like, man, if you follow him on social media, he wants to be great. He wants to do big things. He's not saying anything that other running backs on the roster have said because Aldrich Estime, whether it's posting pictures on his Instagram or social media or saying something positive, they all want to make an impact on this team, and they feel like this team can be really good and make it to the college football playoffs. That's yet to be seen, but we'll get the ball rolling September 3rd at the Horseshoe, and we'll see what this running back room needs to dominate that game along with the offensive line. They need to. They need to follow the blueprint of Utah and impose their will early in the game and allow the defense to play with their hair on fire and really come after that. I mean, Ohio State has maybe the best offensive lineman, offensive tackle in all of football.
He's from Ohio, Paris Campbell.
Yeah, but everybody else,
suspect,
especially from guard to guard, we can get after it.
I know that I trust our O-line over their O-line.
In totality. You're talking about in totality.
In totality and individually. Obviously, Paris Campbell, because he's the freshest to come out. But, you know, Joe Alt ain't no slack either.
No. Joe Alt is no slack. Blake Fisher's no slack. Jared Patterson. Let me tell you something, man. Jared Patterson, you owe us.
You owe us now.
That performance in the Fiesta Bowl.
You owe us.
That was not first round. That tape. That's not gonna. That's not.
What I love about his situation is that his last year he's getting coached the right way. Not that he wasn't getting coached the right way before, but he's going to be the level of expectation for him and his responsibility to the guys in the group is raised.
Like certain coaching that players get can have you on cruise control.
Yes,
and really not pushing yourself.
You're the best center in the country, and you know this dude has no idea what he's talking about.
Right.
So you have coach, half player, but you really half lazy, half player because you ain't taking it serious. Not that you're not taking it serious, but you're not doing. It's not now. Just whatever it is, it's just not now.
Yeah. So Jabron Payne comes in. Give me how many yards are you going to need? Early prediction. How many yards are you going to need from this running offense in the horseshoe? Oh, he's froze again. We'll get him back. Lucky Lefty podcast. I'll go ahead and say it. I think about 200. If we can get 200 yards, I think that'll be good. Try to let him know right quick that he needs to get back in. So 200 yards, 180 to 200, they'll be good, you know. And if Tyler can come out and do 250, 3 touchdowns, man, we're cooking with grease. Nuke Life 007, good question. How is Jaden Alsbury different from J.D. Bertrand? I thought we were looking for length at the linebacker position. He's a better athlete. He's just a better athlete. That's the only way I can say it. He's a better athlete than JD. You know. And if you watch him, he just makes plays, man. He makes plays. He's a leader on defense. He gets everybody set up. And he just makes plays. And you go out there and you look at his film and you say, oh, man, I expected him to be bigger. I expected him to be longer. And somehow, some way, he makes plays. So Malik is coming back. Something happened. Let's see. Let's get to another question. Joe Long, thanks for tapping in. Fisher at LT, please, but he's good enough to play right tackle. I think Fisher is about as good as we have seen at Notre Dame. From a confidence standpoint, absolutely. I mean, for them to start him as a true freshman lets you know everything. But Harry Heastand has been very, very adamant in telling everybody, relax, because Harry Heastand has gone about the process of really breaking things down, laying foundation, and building back up over the spring. Like all of this All-American talk, relax. Still some things that he has to work on to get better. But yes, the talent is absolutely there. The talent is absolutely there. Brandon Plinser, that's a good comp. Wu and Osbury are about the same size. Both have similar impact, and that's how I envision them using Osbury. When they saw him, they said, "Yo, he could be the next Wu at Notre Dame. He can actually be the." And I would say he's further ahead right now in high school than Wu was. Like Wu was a known project as soon as he got to campus. I think Osbury, depending upon how he builds up and works out and gains weight and plays in the senior season, he'll probably be ready to go quicker than Wu was when he got to Notre Dame. Hunter H, thank you for tapping in. If Tommy Reese comes out and his offense puts up 35 to 40 points, I don't know. Is 35 to, is that range really acceptable? Because I mean, Notre Dame has been around 33, 34 points. I need to be 38 to 43. I really do, especially with the early schedule. Like Ohio State, okay. Cal and North Carolina, those need to be mid 40 games, minimum mid 40 games. North Carolina's going to give you plenty of opportunities, right? The defense will be a little better, but it's not a stellar defense. Young quarterback, first time starting, should be able to turn him over, create some opportunities that way. And then, you just have the better players. That's 40 points. Execute. Then you come down to Cal. Look, you need to put up 45 points against school like that. And then Marshall, Jay Henry, I'm with you. Man, 6-piece, mild sauce, salt and pepper, extra sauce on the side. You know what I mean? Bread on top. That's that 60-piece. Definitely put that 6-piece on Marshall. Easy. Make it happen. Make it happen. Joe Long, thank you for tapping in. The only variable that I'm worried about is Tommy Rees and game decisions. Also, would prefer him to be on the field face to face in teaching moments. You know what? Now that is, people call for a quarterback coach, and that's the only reason that you should have someone on the field offensively to be able to sit down and go over film with the quarterbacks instead of them just being on the phone talking to you upstairs. I rock with that. That's a good point. As far as Tommy and his feel for the game and liking to see everything from a certain point of view, that's his preference, right? Some people just prefer to be up above to really see the looks of the defense, just not their offense, but the looks that the defense is giving them and the checks to be able to adjust and anticipate certain things. And that's just his preference. I think you do it both ways. I've seen success both ways. I don't think one leans the other way, because if you're on the field, you need to have somebody you trust upstairs to tell you what they're seeing. Right? So you really need you need both. You need someone in the booth, you need someone on the field. And they both need to be trustworthy to know what they're seeing and to be able to react and adjust and get the right calls. And that's it. So if Tommy decides to be upstairs, there really needs to be someone down there that can talk to the quarterbacks and relay to Tommy not only what they're seeing, but what the quarterbacks are seeing and what the conversation is like between them and the quarterbacks, especially when the defense is on the field, because that's when the bulk of that conversation takes place. Drunk Vigo, what's good, man? Hey, man, look, Julio is part of the staff at this point. Julio's cuts is part of the staff at this point. It's one of the best things about the football program. When you have the best barber, when you have Georgia calling your barber from South Bend to come to the national championship game to cut them, the players, and the staff, yeah. Hey, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. And the recruits reach out to them when they're not here. Guys like Dante Moore have a good relationship with them, so he is definitely an asset. He is definitely an asset. So let's see. I'll start this topic. And if Malik jumps in, we were talking about this before. So I was watching the tribute to K Slay, DJ K Slay, who unfortunately passed away earlier this year at the Hot 97 Summer Jam, which was this past Sunday in Giant Stadium or MetLife. And it made me think because literally every New York rapper that exists ended up being on the stage, maybe except for like Jay-Z and Nas. And it made me think no matter how music has evolved and the different regions it's gone to where, it's become international, you have international artists from a hip hop standpoint. The great thing is you think hip hop, you think New York. That's it, right? You think hip hop, you think New York. When you think Notre Dame football, what do you think? Like, what is Notre Dame synonymous with? I'm interested in seeing what you guys say before we get to the petty train and let you guys go to have a fantastic day. When you think hip hop, you think New York. I know the South, I know the West have really evolved, made the imprint on the game. But when you think hip hop and the culture, you think New York. When you think Notre Dame, what pops in your mind? What pops in your mind? Right? I'm going to go ahead and say mine because Malik had a very interesting point that involved recruiting. And I really want him to come back in. Touchdown Jesus is a really good one. Mine is, and it still is to this day, the most important position, the most visible position in college football is still the same. And that is the quarterback at Notre Dame. I don't care how college football evolves. I don't care what happens. The most visible and most important position played in college football is the quarterback at the University of Notre Dame. Bar none. When I think college football, I think Notre Dame, I think quarterback at Notre Dame. The grotto, for sure. Antoine Johnson tradition. 10 down. 10 down. Got that? Winning. So, bro, I brought up the topic with New York, K Slay, Summer Jam, and how hip hop is synonymous with New York. And I asked the question, and you had a very interesting take as far as it relates to recruiting and being on the recruiting trail and what Notre Dame really means.
Yeah, I love the fact that no matter where we are in the world, Notre Dame gonna get that recruiting done. And it's the effort that we appreciate. Will we pull Richard Young from doing this effort of making sure we're on campus, making sure we're doing the right things, making sure he's having a great time? I don't know. But I do know one thing is that he made a visit to Notre Dame because he wanted to find out if that's where he wanted to be. Could we have done that with the number one running back before then? We've had great running backs, but we ain't do it with the number one running back. So the commitment to making this thing a great effort, I think it's impressive because these are things that have the fan base believe and have the people around campus believe that we can win a championship.
I thought you froze again. You there?
I'm still there, yeah.
Okay. My fault. So
No,
yeah, I agree with you, man.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. So I'm going to go ahead and give you. This is my favorite. I said top. This is our favorite. This is my favorite 3 running backs at Notre Dame that I have watched.
Okay, let's hear it.
My favorite 3. When I tapped in, Alan Pinkett was on his way out. When I tapped in as a fan. Alan Pinkett is just like, he's that first running back at Notre Dame. And I was like, yo, he was doing it different formations. He was doing it in the screen game, punt return, kick return, whatever you wanted. Alan Pinkett gave it to you, right? He gave it to you. Tony Brooks, bro. Tony Brooks was my dude. I love that dude.
Why Tony though? Why Tony?
Tony just had like the USC game. I'll never forget that game out at the Coliseum as a kid. And once again, this is all preferential, right? Just moments as a fan and just like my favorite.
It's not right or wrong.
The speed, the power. Yo, he's one of my top 3 running backs to watch at Notre Dame. Without a question. And then, see, because most people would say, hey, you don't have Jerome Bettis. Bettis just wasn't used. He wasn't used the same way at Notre Dame that he was used in the pros.
He wasn't. It wasn't even exciting watching because they were using him so in between the tackles. Like Autry was way more exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. And see, for me, I don't know. So I could have gone Lee Becton.
Yep.
I could have gone Josh Adams. Let me tell you something, man. It's one play that gave me my answer. Notre Dame at Texas facing off against Ricky Williams and the Longhorns. 4th and goal. And this cat Lou Holtz is like 4th and goal from the 7. And this cat Lou Holtz runs an option play, fam. An option play. They get the ball to Autry Denson, and I swear he juked out like 5 Longhorn players, dude.
He had to, because that's a terrible call. That's a terrible play call.
Terrible play call. Tell like, Lou, are you trying to be the smartest one in the room? Like, what is going on? Oh,
Bill Belichick.
God. I never, when Autry got into the end zone, I was like, that's my dude. That dude is cold. That dude is cold. That's my dude. So yeah, Autry Denson is my 3rd, man. So I got Tony Brooks, Autry Denson, and Alan Pinkett. Those are my 3 guys, my 3 favorite to watch. Armando Allen was a cool dude. He just always got hurt. You're breaking up a little bit, bro.
I'm gonna come back in.
Try to come back in. We'll let him come back in. We appreciate everybody that joined us today. You guys make this show at LL Nation exactly what it is. Tomorrow we'll have an update on what's going on with Richard Young and his visit. Hopefully he'll be here for another couple of days, and we'll get you an update, talk more about Notre Dame, and start preparing you for the season, get into some talk about who's going to be leading the Heisman race. And we'll get to some win totals tomorrow as well for those of you that like to bet. You know what time it is.
Petticoat. Petticoat Junction.
It's time to get petty.
Oh, we did a good job executing.
Are you upset with something?
And fire up the Petticoat Junction train.
I just don't like you.
You don't?
No.
What is today's pettiest story? Petty Junction.
Petty Junction. Pettiest story of the day, each and every day, right here, the Lucky Lefty podcast, brought to you by Onora Whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. It's that premium American whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. If you don't drink, make sure that you drink responsibly. My brother, we have to put the game on the Petty train. This dude just won't stop talking.
He caps so much on the internet is disgusting.
Dude, it's like, what, dude? Talking about Kanye has done more for his career than Dr. Dre and Eminem ever. Now,
Talking about he didn't take a $7 million tour because he wanted to play the PlayStation.
just cap. Just cap. And it's like, look, man.
Come on. I want to be a billionaire. I just don't want to.
Yes.
I could have been a billionaire. I just
Yes.
don't want to. What do you mean you just don't want to? What do you
Yes. It's like, I need you to hush, go somewhere, try to rebuild your career. I know you have an album coming out and you really want to, promote it and build up the buzz for it. But I can't. I can't.
Like, that was bad. Like, if I was an interviewer, I'd have been like, don't do that.
And we missed this because it was over the weekend. And we just flat out missed it. But Rolling Stone and whoever is part of that all-time hip-hop album list, like the fact,
Cardi B at 23.
yes,
Cardi
B
all time.
Come on, man. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? That's when the room, I might catch flack for this, bro. That's when there's too much diversity in the room. That's when it's too much diversity in the room. Like, when we start talking all-time hip-hop, it's like, look, if they want to start talking about all-time best hockey players, they're not going to talk to me and you. They're not talking to me and you about that. And it's like, sometimes, man, hip-hop is inclusive, but sometimes when you start making decisions like that, you need to check who's in the room. Like, dude, relax.
Like,
for Cardi B's name to even come up,
yes,
that lets me know it might have been a little bit too much of something in the room, just a little bit.
It had to be because, like, you're not thinking Cardi B just started like a year ago. Like, what are we talking about?
Come on, man. It's like, it's crazy.
Cardi B only has one album of her whole career.
Yeah.
One album in her whole career.
Yeah.
Come on, man. You disrespecting hip hop.
And I'm going to have to put Jordan Poole on a Petty train for that flop last night. That might have been one of the worst flops in the history. It's like, fam, come on. You're not even known as a defensive player. I can see if a guy known as a defensive player flop. Like, bro, you can't play defense. Everybody knows. It was the worst. It was the worst. It really was, man. Thank you guys for joining us today, Lucky Lefty Podcast. Don't forget, you can follow us on Apple Podcasts, A2S Network. Also, hit the like button, share, let everybody know the Lucky Lefty Podcast is all about it. We'll do some CFB win totals tomorrow. Give an update on how things are going with Richard Young. And then we'll talk some more about what to expect as Notre Dame prepares to go into camp to prepare for the season coming up next month. So, for my man, the original Lucky Lefty himself, Shaun, Malik Zaire, at Overtime Malik and Malik Zaire 8 on Instagram and Twitter. I'm Shaun Davis at SD2 Mics. We'll see you tomorrow for another episode of the Lucky Lefty Podcast. Make sure you